In today's lesson, we're going to start talking about solutions to linear equations that might actually have variables on both sides of the equation. So as we get started, I want you to think about just moving people from place to place. So if we had about 6 kids in our classroom and Miss Campos had 2 kids in her classroom, you probably would move the 2 kids. So our general rule of thumb is that we'll move the smaller number of x's over to the other side. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we do this. We're going to do 2 examples together, and then you're going to work through some other ones. I'm going to pick and choose. So I'm going to start by doing problem number 1, which I'll make pretty big on this screen. So here is our first one. You're going to notice that we have a couple of distributive properties. So I'm going to be really careful in circling the number -5 in front of these parentheses. That reminds me I have to share the -5. And I'm going to put a -1 in front of this to make sure that I know I have to share the negative. So the first step of this is that you're going to take your 17 down. So you'll bring this down, and then you're going to share your -5. So -5 times 2 would be -10x, and -5 times -9, be careful that you take that sign, becomes a +45. On the right hand side, you're going to share your -1, so negative times a negative is a +6x, and a negative times a positive is a -10 plus 4. So now you're going to combine like terms on both sides. So I'm just going to remind you that a side is where the equal sign is. So let's go ahead and put a line down the middle, and let's combine like terms. So our like terms here are a 17 and a +45. So 55, 56, 57 would give us that, and -10x. And on the right hand side, our like terms are a -10 and a +4. So -10 and +4 will give us a -6. So we'll say that equals 6x minus 6. And now this is where we talk about the people in the room. So imagine the left side is Miss Campos's room and the right side is my room. So think about -10 is smaller than +6. So we can do either one. We can move the x's to either side, but I'm going to move the x's over that are smaller. So I'm going to say we're going to take that -10 and add 10 x's to both sides. Just like we have been doing, we just move it from one side to the other side. This left side cancels out, and you're left with 57 equals 16x minus 6. So now you have something that hopefully looks very familiar to you. You simply have a 2-step equation, so you add 6 to both sides, and you end up with 63 equals 16x. Now, none of the things we do today will work out beautifully, so you might have to use your calculator. I don't have a calculator with me, so I'm going to leave things in fraction form or turn them into decimal using long division, but I fully understand if you're going to be opening up a calculator tab and would expect that. So we're going to end up with x equals, off to the side I'll do my long division, 63 divided by 16, and I know 15 times 4 gives me 60, so I'm going to think this goes in 3 times. So I end up with 48, which I may have screwed this up. Yep, so, well, let's see. No, I have 15, so I have 3 and 15/16. The way you read that is you start with your big number 3 at the top, and then you move around. So 3 and 15/16. That is good enough. If you had a calculator, you could give a decimal answer. So I'm going to skip this one, and let's take a look at our next page. So our next page, I'm going to do one that is maybe a little bit, let's go ahead and say we're going to do number 4. Okay, so I'm staying away from things that are too complex right now. So here's our problem, number 4. And I'm going to remind you that you see a distributive property. So you're going to see 5. Make sure you share that with everybody inside. So 5 shares with your 3x. So I end up with 15x. 5 shares with your 4, so you end up with 20 minus 2x equals, now make sure that you grab your -3 and share it. So you're going to share that -3 with a -2, multiplying. -3 times -2 is 6x. -3 times 11 is -33, so -33. Remember your sides of the room. So you're going to go like this, put your side down, and you're going to combine like terms on the side. So 15x minus 2x would give you 13x. So 13x plus 20 equals, there's no like terms on this side, so 6x minus 33. Look at your x's and think which one is bigger. And I would agree with you if you said 13 is bigger than 6. So we're going to move 6 x's by subtracting them because it's the smaller number. That just keeps everything positive for us. And we like to do that if we can. So we end up with 7x plus 20 equals -33. Now it is a straight up two-step equation, so you're going to subtract 20 from both sides. Be careful when you do this that you are left with your 7x. And when you have two negatives, you add them together, so you end up with 53, and you keep the negative sign. Remember, I said that you will not have nice numbers, so that is okay. You're going to divide both sides by 7. Now, a lot of kids ask me on a calculator, what happens when I have a negative divided by a positive in the calculator? You don't need to worry about that. You know a negative divided by a positive is a negative, so you just keep that negative sign there. And I'll do long division because I don't have a calculator. So 7 times 9 is 63. 7 times 8 is 56. So 7 times 7 will give us 49. And so I end up with 7 4/7. I read around. So the top number is our 7 and then 4/7. You can always do long division if you don't have a calculator. Okay, so our page is where we can put things together. So 5 and 6. I'm going to ask us to solve a few of these. So we're going to take a look on our own in our composition book at number 6 and number 7 and number 4 and number 3. So those are the 4 we're going to take a look at, and then we'll talk about them together.